Hi, Jim Carson here from Blackstock Ford, Orangeville, Ontario. Today at our off-site mod shop, Bad Dog Mods. Bright sunny day, great day for sunglasses, and a really good day to talk about window tint, the different types and the laws in Ontario. So check it out. Window tint. Now when I said the different types, I'm talking both about the shade, and that's a number you've heard a lot. You hear the number 25%, 35%. Those are the numbers that are going to cause us confusion. We'll talk about that more when we're talking about the legal definition. But shades, that's one type of film, of course, but I'm talking about the composition of the film itself. There are four main types of window tint. The least expensive window tint is referred to as a dyed film. And a dyed film is the film that the cons of that, the pro obviously is a low price. The con is that it's the film that over time it's going to turn purple. It also doesn't have nearly as adequate, let's say, qualities of reducing the amount of heat, and particularly the UV light. UVA and UVB are the two different spectrums that can cause skin cancer. Next above the dyed film is a metallized film. A little bit better, a little bit more expensive, about the same qualities when it comes to performance of UV, meaning that's not a very good screen for UV. It does reduce some heat. It will not turn purple like a dyed film. However, what it does do, a metallized film can interfere with both GPS and cellular signals. Next above that is called a carbon film. 3M invented carbon film many years ago, and it's sold under the trade name of Color Stable. It's a great quality film. It's one that we install here a lot at Bad Dog. It has excellent characteristics to screen out UVA and UVB. Pretty good characteristics to reduce heat, if not very good, but when you compare it to the next up, not as good. The one drawback with the carbon type film is in certain light conditions, because of the size of the carbon in the film itself, it can sort of cause a fogging, hazing, and it doesn't always have the most perfect match in terms of sheen and color to the rear privacy glass in many SUVs and trucks today. The highest end film is called ceramic. Under the 3M name, it's sold as ceramic IR. A ceramic film has excellent characteristics for reducing UV, and it also has much better characteristics than even carbon film in reducing the amount of heat, the amount of total heat rejection. In fact, you can get about double. So you can go with a lighter shade of ceramic and get as much heat rejection as you do in carbon. It's excellent visibility, it's very clear, it reduces a lot of glare, and another characteristic of the ceramic film is it almost makes your glass pretty much shatterproof. So it's a great safety feature for ceramic film. It is more expensive, however. So we're going to talk about how the shades apply to the laws in Ontario. Two different laws, and that's important to note, and why that gets confusing when we use the numbers compared to the shade level. All right, the laws that apply to window tint in Ontario, there's two sections. One is, the one that was most recently changed, applies to the motor vehicle inspection, and that comes into play only when your vehicle is being sold as a used car. What they changed in the law is also that it only applies in this new law to vehicles manufactured after January the 1st, 2017. And what it says is vehicles manufactured after that date, when they go for a safety, they must have at least 70% visible light transmission. All right, so the confusion would come in then when the window tint is sold to you. You may hear people say, oh, 35% is legal. Well, they're referring to the other section, that's the Highway Traffic Act, the one the police officer is going to rely on. The Highway Traffic Act has some vague wording in it, and it basically says the driver on any year vehicle may not have any spray or film or tint on his two side windows, the driver and passenger, that substantially obscure the vision into the vehicle. And that is a vague term. Well, what does substantially obscure? It's just felt that a 35% window tint will not obscure, and anything darker, such as a 20%, will. Well, sort of. Let's have a look here. I've got my tint meter. Let's turn it on. And when I turn on the tint meter, I'm going to put it over top of the factory glass with no tint. And we get a reading of 81%. The factory tint is already shading out 19% of the light, allowing 81% of the light to come through. If I were to add a 25% film, what would we get? Well, The film should be sort of factored for a variable of factory tint. And when I put a 25% film on top of the factory glass, the net result is 22% passes through. So in this case, this 2021 Mach-E, in the future when it goes to get safetied, it would not pass the inspection because it obviously allows a lot less than 70% of the light to shine through. So what is the answer of what's legal in Ontario? Well, if your vehicle is built after January 1st, 2017, in the future when it comes time to safety, there's basically no window film at all that's legal on the front two windows. The rear windows, have at it. And there's no law that applies to that. You also cannot have any tint on your windshield. But when we're dealing with maybe the more common question is what's legal out on the road, well, we can talk about the different shades. Here's a 70% sample, a 35% sample, and the 25% I showed you earlier. Let's see how they compare on this front window. There's also 50% available. I just didn't bring that with me here. So go back on there, see what I get. I get 81%. When I slide through the 70%, I get 62%. Okay, so that's pretty good in terms of pretty close to what would be illegal, but it still wouldn't pass a safety inspection. But it virtually has, it's no way is it going to be considered by a police officer as obstructing the view, a 70%. Why am I talking and why would you even bother with the 70%? Well, the 70% ceramic film from 3M will reduce as much heat and 99% of all UVA and UVB and make your glass shatterproof as the much darker film in a 35% range. They have the same characteristics for heat reduction, even though the film is a lot lighter. So if you're concerned about that, well, then 70% clearly is going to have no issue in terms of to a police officer about obscuring the view. If you're looking for something darker from a vanity standpoint or something that looks cooler, well, at 35%, you know, that is the tipping point where, certainly in bright sun, it is going to allow some visibility into the car, and 20% is not. 50% is also a great choice, but the 70% is an excellent choice to put on your back windows that have privacy glass. And why is that? Well, I talked about the 70% has great characteristics to reduce the heat coming into the cab. It's also very clear. It won't have any hazing to it, and it makes it very easy to see out of. Well, your privacy glass in the back, which is going to be quite dark, around that 25%, I'm going to show you that in a minute, but you can see out of it much easier because it's not a film. It is actually part of the glass, part of the tempered glass that's in the rear. And when you put the 70% over top of it, it is basically not going to at all affect your ability to see out at night, but it's going to give you all those characteristics of drastically reducing the back seat heat. And if you have passengers back there, pets back there, kids back there, it's going to be a very effective film from that. Of course, you could go darker as well, but you start to impair your ability to see outside. So let's look at the back privacy glass next. Okay, on the back of this Mach-E, pretty typical privacy glass in the back of an SUV or any of your standard pickup trucks. With no tint film on there, we have a reading of 24%. If I were to add the 70% ceramic film on top of that, I get a combined number of 18%. If I were to add the 35% common window tint we see on front windows today, and you're going to see this is going to make quite a change. So again, without it, 24, and with it, 10, less than half. All right, so that's the impact of the shade on both the front and the side windows, and that covers a little bit about the laws in Ontario and how they're applied. Okay, so there you go. That's a little bit about the window tint characteristics of the film. 3M invented window tint over 50 years ago. It's no doubt one of the premium brand names, and when you're getting your window tint done from your installer, insist on the brand name. You'll notice the 3M when it's installed has a little 3M black marking on the inside of the film. It easily wipes off with rubbing alcohol and the microfiber after 3 or 4 days when the film is dry. That's how you know that you are getting 3M window film, as the sign says, by a certified installer. It's a great quality product. The guys here at Bad Dog or the team at Blackstock Ford is very knowledgeable on the window tint. You can have it included in your monthly payments, whether lease or finance on your new vehicle. If you already have your vehicle, obviously bring it here to Bad Dog Mods and the team will take care of you. Well, that's it for now. I'm Jim Carson. Thank you very much for watching.